Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now, here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. Now, we begin the news in the U.S., where a rash of unexplained drone sightings in the skies above New Jersey has left locals rattled and sent U.S. officials scrambling for answers. For weeks now, the distinctive blinking lights and whirling rotors of large unmanned aerial vehicles have been spotted across the United States. But military brass elected representatives and also investigators have been unable to explain the recurring UFO phenomenon. For News Central international correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
Flying objects overhead, concern and confusion, and calls for military intervention. This isn't the plot of a science fiction movie, but rather the result of numerous possible drone sightings in recent weeks. The flying objects have been spotted over residential neighborhoods, restricted sites, and critical infrastructure across the United States. The sightings have put intense pressure on federal agencies to provide more information about the aircraft, as officials have urged calm and emphasized there is no evidence suggesting the sightings posed a security threat. The Biden administration has not identified anything anomalous or any national security or public safety risks over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. That's according to White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat or have a foreign nexus.
Drone sightings have been reported in at least 6 states: New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Virginia and Ohio, while arrests have been made in connection with drone operation near restricted areas in Massachusetts and California. They have also been spotted over President-elect Donald Trump's golf course in Bedminster, according to military officials and state lawmakers. The sightings prompted the Federal Aviation Administration to issue temporary flight restrictions over the properties. The FBI and New Jersey State Police urged the public in a joint statement not to shoot at suspected drones, warning of potentially deadly consequences if manned aircraft are mistakenly targeted. Pilots of manned aircraft are being hit in the eyes with lasers pointed by individuals on the ground, mistaking them for drones. Drones are permitted for both business applications and recreational use, but are regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration rules. Witnesses stress that the unexplained aerial objects are larger than those commonly used by drone enthusiasts. With still no explanation as to what these mysterious flying objects are, the speculation continues. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And now to further discuss this, I'm joined by Bulu Michael B., foreign policy analyst. Bulu, you're welcome. Good evening.
Good evening.
Now,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Bulu, any closer to Vegas, and I would have said that perhaps maybe this is it. We finally made contact with aliens, but it's not. So exactly what are the possible geopolitical implications of recurring drone sightings, if these are drones, in the United States, particularly in New Jersey, do you think?
All right, I think the recent occurrence, the drones flying over places just signifies the vulnerability of the U.S. airspace system, and luckily it's not been linked to any foreign nation or foreign body or foreign attack whatsoever. But this is how the enemies operate. It could be a sign for an impending threat, being that once the system keeps detecting that's not harmful, it's in that process that the enemies now strike. Let's not forget what happened, in September 11, when the Twin Towers got struck. The domestic airlines flew over the place, several times, and it was in that process that the tower got hit. So, New Jersey, New York, they kind of close, and these are really important cities in the U.S. And it might be a sign of impending attack. So the United States Security Service must still, be on guard, and their inability to be able to trace the origin of these drones might erode the public trust in the government, the government's capacity to be able to protect civilians as well as military facilities.
That's very worrying. If the military are unaware of exactly what these are, and also noting that these are kind of like patterns that preempt such strikes, like you mentioned about the 9/11 one. But how might these unexplained drone sightings impact national security assessment? What are the steps that could be taken to investigate their origin?
Okay, well, like I said earlier, it reveals the vulnerabilities in the U.S., the airspace defense system. But so far, to my knowledge, they've been able to take certain steps, like installing advanced, detection systems, as also they've been sending observers to, see what's going on ground, and also investigating the reports that have been submitted concerning these issues. And you can see, the pressmen are really engaging the public, trying to, instill some calm that there's no threats in any way from any foreign body. And I think the step they've taken so far is kind of adequate. And if they can, step up a bit in their efforts, they'll be able to allay the fears of the public about their safety.
And could the mysterious drone activities be linked to maybe foreign adversaries? I know you said that, but what foreign adversaries could be responsible for such a phenomenon?
Well, off the bat, my mind goes straight to Russia and China, for some reason, and maybe Iran or even North Korea. These are countries that have been at loggerheads with the United States, and let's think of when United States supports Israel a lot, and when Iran was going to attack Israel, I think a couple of months ago, they sent hundreds of drones to the airspace, and they were able to block them down because they have this area defense system called the Dome. Iran seems to like drones a lot. So off the bat, I think because they've been at loggerheads with the United States, and they have a lot of vendetta and a bad blood with the U.S., being that they killed some of their leaders and things like that, looking for ways to revenge and even assassinate the president-elect and things like that. One will go off the bat that if there's going to be a drone threat to the United States, it's probably going to come from Iran.
And what do you think they could do to mitigate these? Couldn't they track these drones to their places of origin, perhaps, where they took off from? How hard could it be, especially for the United States?
Oh, well, there's still a couple of things that could be done to ensure as much as possible that this doesn't repeat itself or in a way that cannot be managed. There are a couple of things they can do, for example, ensuring as much as possible that every drone is registered and they contain, tracking systems. They can also put in place counter-drone systems or laws to allow counter-drone agencies to be able to intercept or shoot down unauthorized drones that will be flying over high security areas as well as unauthorized areas. So these are some of the things that they can do, to ensure as much as possible that they have full control of their airspace system. It's very important. Land, sea, the air. These are really these are territories for combat. And it's very important that the United States puts everything in place right now, especially this festive season, to ensure that the lives and property of civilians are well protected.
Well, Bolu, want to say thank you very much for giving us your expert opinion. And if you do run into any of them, do remember to tell them you come in peace. Or at least they should tell you that. Thank you, Bolu. In South America, prosecutors in Bolivia are seeking the arrest of former President Evo Morales in connection with a sexual abuse investigation involving his alleged fathering of a child with a 15-year-old girl. The arrest warrant, which must be approved by a judge, was issued after Morales defied an order to testify in the case. His supporters say the charge is political. Morales, who governed Bolivia for 13 years until overthrown in a military coup in 2019, has been holed up in a rural area of Chapare. Now, he's alleged to have had a child with a teenage girl in 2016, a sexual relationship that would have constituted statutory rape under Bolivian law.
Nosotros el día de hoy hemos presentado la imputación formal contra el señor Juan Evo Morales Saima y contra la señora Idelsa Pozo Saavedra por el delito de trata de personas agravado. Entonces, ya ha sido esta imputación presentada el día.
We now head to Europe, where we tell you that France's new Prime Minister, Francois Bayrou, has pledged transparency and decisive action, vowing to leave nothing unaddressed or unanswered. Now, speaking at the National Assembly during his first question session with MPs, Bayrou assured lawmakers of his commitment to tackling pressing national issues. While responding to National Rally MP Laurie Lavalette, he said he will resolve all the problems related to public spending and the fractures in French society. Bayrou emphasized his intention to address challenges inclusively, considering the needs of all societal groups. The new Prime Minister's remarks come as France faces growing political and economic tension, with the government under pressure to deliver solutions to long-standing national concerns.
Je ne dissimulerai rien. Je ne laisserai rien sans traitement et sans réponse. Tous les problèmes que vous avez indiqués, qui tiennent à la dépense publique, qui tiennent aux fractures de la société française, j'essaierai de les résoudre.
Meanwhile, a Russian Black Sea resort town, Anapa, has declared a state of emergency after oil from 2 storm-damaged tankers spilled along the coastline. The storm, which struck Sunday, sank 1 tanker and left another severely damaged, resulting in the death of 1 crew member from hypothermia, while 26 others were rescued. Officials confirmed oil leaks have spread over 30 kilometers of beach, contaminating the area. Cleanup operations are underway, with 400 personnel deployed. The Russian Natural Resources Agency has reported significant coastal pollution, while Ukraine's environmental ministry has warned of a potential large-scale ecological disaster in the Black Sea. 4 smaller towns have also declared emergencies as authorities race to address the environmental impact of the spill.
Зафиксировано, что нефтяные пятна от затонувшего танкера достигли берегов Анапского региона. На сегодняшний момент береговая линия получила загрязнение. Специалисты Росприроднадзора работают в 3 точках, там работают 2 наших.
Still in Europe, the head of Russia's Chemical Weapons Division, Igor Kirillov, has been killed in a brazen attack in Moscow, marking the most serious senior military assassination in Russia so far amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. Kirillov and his assistant died when an explosive device attached to a scooter went off outside a residential building in southeastern Moscow on Tuesday. Ukrainian officials have claimed responsibility for the attack, calling it a special operation. Kirillov, who was 54, was sanctioned by the UK over alleged chemical weapons use in Ukraine. Russian authorities are investigating the blast as a terrorist act, while Ukraine's SBU has labeled him a war criminal for reportedly using banned criminal weapons on the battlefield.
Просто хлопок, сильный хлопок и все. Но часто на стройке бывают звуки, поэтому мы даже не подумали, что что-то такое произошло, страшная трагедия какая-то. Мы думали, что что-то со стройки, потом уже увидели полицию. Ну и стало понятно, что явно что-то случилось.
Ну, звук был очень громкий сегодня от взрыва. Проснулся, думал, упало что-то на стройке. Захожу сегодня утром новости, когда проснулся. Смотрю, здесь пишут, что в соседнем корпусе взорвалось.
Now, a curfew has been imposed on a small but densely populated French island of Mayotte, coming 3 days after powerful Indian Ocean cyclone Chido made a fall. France continues to use military aircraft to rush rescuers and supplies into the territory. An overnight curfew came into force Tuesday evening as authorities try to stabilize the island in the aftermath of Cyclone Chido, the most intense storm to hit the French Indian Ocean archipelago in 90 years. The official death toll from Saturday's cyclone rose to 22, with more than 1,400 injured, including 48 people critically. But authorities fear hundreds and possibly thousands of people have died. The curfew required people to stay in their homes between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. each night as authorities try to prevent looting of damaged buildings. Now, when we return, we tell you that Israel officials accuses Jolani of masking true intentions. When we get back. Now, in the Middle East, Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed on Tuesday that Israeli forces would maintain the freedom to act in the Gaza Strip, even after the war with Hamas concludes. In a post on X, Katz emphasized that it was his personal view, stated that Israel would retain security control over Gaza with full military freedom after Hamas military and governmental capabilities are dismantled. Katz further proposed that Israel's control over Gaza should mirror its control of the West Bank, known biblically as Judea and Samaria, which Israel has occupied since 1967, where it frequently conducts military operations. The question of Gaza's governance post-war remains unresolved, more than a year after Israel vowed to dismantle Hamas in response to its October 7, 2023 attack. And still in Israel, Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell has accused Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, leader of the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, of being a wolf in mutton clothes due to his jihadist past. Jawlani, who now goes by his real name Ahmed al-Shara, led the coalition that overthrew Bashar al-Assad in Israel, ending his decades-long rule. Haskell's remarks reflect Israel's concerns over the rise of HTS, an Islamist faction with a history of extremism. The group's leadership and its role in reshaping Syria's future have drawn international scrutiny, as tensions in the region remain high following Assad's ouster. Israel continues to monitor developments closely amid fears of further instability near its borders.
It is important to avoid falling for the attempt to whitewash jihadist group in Syria. We know who they are and their true nature, even if they change their names, and we understand how dangerous they are to the West. And I brought here some of the reincarnation of al-Jawlani's leader of the Syrian forces, and the reincarnation time after time to unmask them. We see them here. We see him here as in ISIS, fighting with the ISIS troops, going towards. He became the founder of the Al-Nusra Front, another terrorist organization. Today, he's here at the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Okay. These are terrorist organizations, and this is a wolf in mutton clothes.
UN investigators have expressed hope that Bashar al-Assad's downfall will grant them access to key crime scenes in Syria to preserve evidence of the horrific crimes committed during the conflict. Robert Petit, head of the UN's International Impartial and Independent Mechanism, IIIM, on Syria, stated that there is now awareness from both transitional authorities and Syrian civil society to preserve evidence. Petit described the situation as a sea change, noting that massive evidence, including videos from emptying prisons, is becoming available. He emphasized that the evidence is substantial, citing records and documents found. The civil war sparked by Assad's crackdown on pro-democracy protests in 2011 has killed over 500,000 people and displaced millions.
What we have, however, also noted with hope, is a stated awareness from the transitional authorities and from Syrian civil society actors of the need to preserve evidence. When you're talking about a government, a state apparatus who for 14 years used every aspect of that apparatus to commit crimes, you will have a massive amount of documentation left behind. There is, however, the potential in this now accessible crime scene, or maybe I should say interlocking series of crime scenes, there is now the possibility of accessing evidence of the highest level of regime and allied crimes responsibility. We have just now, following the events, reiterated through a communication to the Syrian missions our willingness to engage and to go to Syria to fulfill our mandate. We are awaiting a response, and as soon as that response is forthcoming, we will.
Now, let's also tell you that Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian will visit Egypt on Thursday to attend the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation Summit, marking the first visit by an Iranian leader since 2013. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said that Pezeshkian will be accompanied by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi during the trip. The visit will mark the first time in over a decade that an Iranian president travels to Egypt, as relations between the two countries have long been strained. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was the last Iranian president to visit Egypt in February 2013 to attend a summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The D8 member countries include Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt, and Nigeria, which came together in 1997 through the Istanbul Declaration of the Summit of Heads of States. In Asia, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has expressed optimism for the possibility of great achievements in collaboration with the United States. He said this ahead of the upcoming inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. He, however, also cautioned against what he refers to as the U.S.'s crude interference on the Taiwan issue. The two largest global economies have clashed over various matters in recent years, ranging from trade and technology to human rights and China's increasing assertiveness towards Taiwan, which governs itself. In his address in Beijing, reflecting on China's diplomatic efforts in the past year and its outlook for the future, Wang stated that China's policies towards the U.S. has not changed.
自身的主权、安全、发展利益，坚决反对美方对中国实施的非法无理打压，尤其是对美方在台湾等问题上粗暴干涉中国内政的行径，必须作出坚定有力的回应，坚决捍卫自身正当权益，维护国际关系基本准则。动荡冲突，中国将坚定做和平的力量。我们希望美国新政府做出正确抉择，同中方相向而行，排除干扰，跨越障碍，力争中美关系稳定、健康、可持续发展。
And that's all on Beyond the Continent this evening. To remember now, you can watch News Central Live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Able TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazzino Appeal.